Good morning, I'm Brian Reagan. This is
Tyler Kelly.
And welcome to Mornings with Brian and Tyler. Today we are looking at the parable of the Great Supper, that's what it's called, in Luke 14, verses 15 through 24.
Now when one of those who sat at the table with him heard these things, he said to him, "Blessed is he who shall eat bread in the kingdom of God." Then he said to him, "A certain man gave a great supper and invited many, and sent his servant at supper time to say to those who were invited, 'Come, for all things are now ready.' But they all with one accord began to make excuses. The first said to him, 'I have bought a piece of ground, and I must go and see it. I ask you to have me excused.' And another said, 'I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I am going to test them. I ask that you have me excused.' Still another said, 'I have married a wife, and therefore I cannot come.' So that servant came and reported these things to his master. And the master of the house, being angry, said to his servant, 'Go out quickly into the streets and lanes of the city, and bring in here the poor and the maimed and the lame and the blind.' And the servant said, 'Master, it is done as you commanded, and still there is room.' And the master said to the servant, 'Go out into the highways and hedges, and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. For I say to you that none of those men who were invited shall taste my supper.'"
All right. Now this all goes together with chapter 14, verse 1. There's another parable right before this. It says, "Now it happened as he went into the house of one of the rulers of the Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath, that they watched him closely." So they're eating meals, and Jesus is going to tell meals-related stories. This one about the Great Supper, and it doesn't matter to me which one we look at first, but the simple fact is, again, we're coming to the issue with people that, like we said last night, with the whole counting the cost and everything, these people were invited to the feast of a king. Now in America, we don't really care about blowing off suppers. But seriously, you knew the king's event was coming up, and you did not make preparation for it. And one of them, "Well, I've got a wife, and one evening at the king's." No, you're trying to claim a privilege, and that privilege was that first year of marriage. There were all kinds of things you were exempt from in Jewish society, so that you and your wife could actually spend time together, get to know each other, hopefully conceive a child, etc., etc. Okay? Then another one says, "Well, I bought some land, but I haven't really looked at it, and. Okay, well, if you've waited this long, you can wait one more day. Seriously? Another, "Well, I've got some oxen, but I don't know if they're really any good for plowing." Seriously? So then why'd you buy them? That's like saying, "Well, I bought a truck to tow my heavy equipment, but I don't know if that transmission actually will engage." Wow. You really expect me to believe that? And the servant, well, okay, here's everybody's excuses. The servant comes back, "Hey, king, everybody's made their excuses." Now, here's what those excuses sound like today. "Well, brother, we can't come to church because little Timmy is having a birthday party this year. And it just so happens that it's going to interfere with church time." How come little Timmy ain't in church with you? Brother, you're meddling. I know I'm saying this stuff that way Tyler doesn't get in trouble for saying it.
But seriously, who has birthdays on Sunday mornings at 11 in the morning?
Oh, well, no, it's at 1 o'clock, but they can't come to church because they've got to get ready for the birthday party starting at 10 o'clock that morning. And that's in the middle of Bible class. And now they'll have to miss church in order to make preparation for Timmy's birthday party. How old's Timmy? 4? Okay. I mean, you realize Timmy will only remember parts of his birthday party until you show him the pictures you take of it years later. But, notwithstanding that, "Well, brother, there's a ball game I was hoping to catch on TV instead of fellowshipping with the church." Yeah, we've been able to record stuff for a long time. "Yeah, but I don't want to miss that game live." Now, some of you have known me for years, that occasionally I know you chime in, you watch these, you go, yeah, brother, I've seen you make that face before. And I've heard you say that okay before. And what that really means is, and I'm just Brian. I'm not the king of the universe that people are making these excuses to. Because, oh wait, when people make those excuses to me, they're not making them to me either. They're making them to the king. And that's why Jesus says, you better make sure you got your priorities right. Because this tower of faith you started to build, you ain't going to finish it. And this war that you thought you were going to go out and pick with the devil or whatever, or this war against the sin in your life because you didn't count the cost and you didn't make it a priority, yeah, you're done. You're going to lose. Because you didn't make this stuff your priority. When a king says you're coming to dinner, right? The answer is, yes, king, I am.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you putting it in the form of a question and giving me the option to turn it down. You say, well, obviously they could turn it down. Mm-hmm. And the king says, you know what? You didn't want to come. Now you ain't ever getting in. And this is the danger that I have talked about in other lessons. When that door and that window for your salvation is open, you better go through it. And in America, we better quit playing games with it, because it's going to cost us and everyone we love our souls if we don't knock it off. And we've already paid a real high price, y'all. It's time to get real serious about being Christian. You have some other thoughts?
No, sir.
With that, we bid you good morning.